Okay. I think we can start. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first workshop. We apologize for the small issue with the link to the workshop, and we hope it did not cause too many problems. My name is Massimo Facchinetti from Alpha Consult, and I work on dissemination and communication in various projects. Here with me, my colleague Elizabeth.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Neranzis. I'm a project manager and business consultant in Alpha and involved as exploitation manager in several projects within and beyond the Horizon Europe framework. Massimo, I leave the floor to you to continue.
Today, as Alpha, we moderate this workshop that is implementation of new technologies in operational activities of crisis management and civil protection services, AI, drone, and satellites for real-time situational awareness in disaster response. We will really have this as an informal space, so please turn off your microphone and camera and turn them on only when you want to speak. You can use the chat for eventual questions. Please, if you ask a question, mention also the person or the project or you are addressing. We will try to respect all the timing to give the right space to everyone involved. And just for clearness, the workshop will be recorded and the recording promoted through various communication channels like YouTube and LinkedIn. We apologize in advance if we mispronounce any names or surnames, so please feel free to correct us. We can definitely start. The topic of the first session is the challenges and priorities in emergency management today. We leave now the floor to Vanina from Ithaca. She is the OVERWATCH project coordinator, and she will introduce the workshop and this initiative.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Massimo and Elizabeth, for this introduction and for the organization of the workshop, of course. So yes, I'm Vanina Fissore from Ithaca, and I'm a project coordinator for OVERWATCH. OVERWATCH, together with Unicorn, Colaris 2, and DIREKTION projects, is part of the emergency management cluster, created to connect current European Horizon funded projects to deliver activities focused on bringing innovation to the emergency management context. How? Well, by combining different technologies such as Earth observation, aerial acquisition platforms, and advanced systems for data ingestion, integration, and management, delivered then in the form of innovative tools covering the entire emergency management lifecycle, from early warning to response and to recovery phases. So in this cluster, we would like to put together the knowledge gained by the 4 projects with the aim of providing a contribution to Europe's capacity to face climate-driven hazard and disasters, bringing together 42 organizations from almost 20 countries. And of course, each project addresses different challenges and different emergency event types. From volcanic eruptions to floods and to wildfires, leveraging in the same way different technologies that differently enable the gain of those added value information useful to support emergency managers, we hope. So very briefly, since during the workshop, each project coordinator will provide, of course, in-depth information of the respective project. I can start with an introduction about first DIREKTION. Is a project dedicated to enhancing disaster resilience, providing Europe with faster and more efficient access to innovation solutions and technologies in the context of disaster response and recovery. Unicorn Projects addresses the growing threats of climate change and geohazards by providing innovative solutions for emergency management and disaster resilience. Colaris 2 instead is focused on the development of a sustainable ecosystem that enables civil protection actors and first responders and engineers to work together to share knowledge and try to harmonize procedures.
Sorry, Vanina,
And
I don't want to interrupt you, but if you're presenting something, we cannot see your screen.
No, I'm
Okay.
not presenting anything.
Okay, sorry. Just to be
No
sure.
problem. Okay. And then finally, Overwatch is focused on developing an integrating system to support the management of floods and wildfires, leveraging different technologies such as Earth observation, augmented reality, and artificial intelligence. So 4 different projects, one common goal to answer to current challenges that can be listed as the need of timely and reliable situational awareness, interoperability between actors and system, and the delivering of decision support tools that help responders to quickly act in case of emergencies. And then, of course, integration of these tools in real operational workflow. So this was my introduction to the workshop, and to explore this broader perspective, I can. It's my pleasure to hand the floor to Vasileios Kalogiru. I don't know if Massimo, you are going to present him, or do we have to do it?
No, I don't think anyone.
As
It's
you
okay.
will.
It's okay.
No.
I can present myself. Hello, hello. Good morning from Prague. Thank you very much, Vanina, Elizabeth, Massimo, for first of all for the organization of this event. I don't have slides, so I'm not going to show any slides. Just a short introduction, because the important is the projects to take the floor, not ourselves. My name is Vasileios Kalogiru. I'm the project officer of 2 of these projects, of Overwatch and Unicorn. I call in from Prague, from EUSPA, the EU agency for the space program. So we talk, and this workshop is about new technologies. Space is not, the only one. We have much more, let's say, there in the agenda. But I represent an institution that works on the EU space program, on exploiting EU space assets, ensuring service delivery by these assets on various what we call components, on positioning and navigation, on the Earth observation side, more recently now, and hopefully more actively on the secure satellite communication also side, ensuring security of these assets so that we can make secure use of them, and also working on the user uptake and communication and development of this component. This is why we work actually with Horizon Europe. We implement, along with other institutions as well of the Union and of the European Commission, we implement some of these Horizon projects. So our portfolio aims to support the development of this downstream, what we call applications of space. And we deal with many technological developments that are critical, we believe, for first responders. And we have the word, it says operational activities in the workshop title, which is important to not forget that we try to address user needs from end users, the ones that will work even on the field, or will work on the coordination office, for example. And this is, if there is one thing that I would like to stress all the projects, but also the participants to do, is to think more, have the user-oriented mindset. Of course, we do research and innovation to develop further this technology, trying to mainstream them. But the critical point is to empathize a bit with these people that are the ones at the end of the day that will use them, right? And some of these technologies are not actually, they are quite well developed. The drones are not new. We've seen civil protection agencies use them more and more actively. There is still a lot to do. And then we have also the developments of Colaris 2, which I'm trying to follow as much as possible, and the important work they do on that. So please have in mind always the user and try to involve as much as possible. I know that you have each project their own user involvement, and this is important, but if you can expose more openly, and this is good that we have an exchange like that. So I will also invite the participants, let's say, to challenge a bit the work, not be, because this is supposed to be a workshop, so not only being passive on what the projects do and that's it, but try to engage a bit or on a more engaging and challenging interaction. And I will close, so I will be very brief, just to close on the one opportunity actually that we have, and maybe as participants you will be interested to hear. We also have an open call which is quite relevant to the discussion and the thematic of this workshop. A topic which is open, and its title is Innovative Space-Based Applications Enhancing Capabilities for a Resilient Europe. So not only, let's say, civil protection applications, but also security resiliency kind of application. And this is still open, and it will be an open topic until the end of February. So there you go, inviting you, if you have interest, to have a look also in the EUSPA website for this Horizon Europe topic. And with this, I think I'm closing here. Thank you very much for organizing this event. It's good to see projects, coming together and organizing such workshops. Thanks.
Thank you.
Back the floor to you, Massimo, I think, yes.
Yes, thank you, Vasilis. We are perfectly on time, and the rabbit is still in his place, so we can proceed. Our next speaker is Ivana Kruihi, from senior researcher at the German Rescue Robotics Center, and she will provide an overview on the outcomes from the International Symposium on Safety, Security and Rescue Robotics, which has taken place in Galway, Ireland, at the end of October. So, Ivana, we leave the floor to you.
Yes, hello. Yes, I hope I managed to turn on everything now.
Yes.
You should be seeing my presentation in the presentation mode. Is that the case? And you are obviously hearing me. Or are you? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. This is, yeah, always these settings of being a little bit isolated. Yes, so good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for your interest in sharing what happened at the conference. My name is Ivana Kruif. I work at the German Rescue Robotics Center. And I feel really very well placed here, also given what Vasilis has said just now, because DRZ is an organization whose mission is to bridge the gap between research and operational disaster response. And we work very closely with various stakeholders in this space. So I feel like I have various roles here. One more is that, this is a workshop of a cluster of 3-4 European projects, and the DRZ is actually involved in other 2 projects that very much have to do with the topics being addressed here. One being Craig's data, where it's about processing larger data amounts. For one of the use cases is being weather emergencies, and the other is Karma, where it's about collaborative autonomous robots. So as I said, I feel very well placed, but today my task is to talk about what we have seen at the IEEE International Symposium on Safety, Security and Rescue Robotics last month at the end of October. Now let me go to the next slide. I would like to say SSRR is a relatively small conference in comparison to places like ICRA or IROS, but it is really a leading venue in our field. By our field, I mean robot-assisted disaster response in various shapes and forms. I put there the URL and the QR code if you want to look at the conference website and the overview of the papers. The proceedings will be published soon. We are finalizing the front matter. So when I did this little review, what I was looking for was especially things that could be of interest to the cluster, like questions like, does the work improve real-time situational awareness? Does it use technology that is interesting to the cluster? Is it relevant to climate-driven hazards and/or the really operational reality of crisis management? And for me, most critically, is there evidence of operational readiness? So these were kind of the questions that I had in mind when I looked at the papers. There were 36 papers presented at the conference, so I hope you do not expect me to give you really a detailed insight, but if there are things that I mention that you find interesting, then you can later have a look at the papers. So looking across all the papers, I found 4 major trends standing out. Now, I should say, I think if you ask 10 people to do such an overview, then you get 10 different overviews and potentially 10 different trends. Still, I hope that this is somewhat representative. So trend 1, it can really be seen that not only drones, but also other kinds of robots are increasingly being seen as really operational tools and are also being tested in real hazard situations. Not every paper does this, but the number of papers that do this is increasing. Another trend that we can see is that robots are not just passive cameras, collect data and basically show data from a disaster, from a situation. The information is being processed. Now, of course, I would say it's not the robot that processes it; it's the overall system. But there is a lot of focus on AI and sensor fusion, using information from various sources and producing actionable insights from it. Number 3, integrated systems, especially drones and ground robots, integrated workflows where data from different systems is being used to enable operations of systems in the other domain, let's say, that applied in various use cases. I will mention some of them. And finally, really, again, something that we really like and need and want to see is the user-centric aspect and the operationally validated design. And this is happening more and more. I should also say that SSRR is actually a venue that very explicitly asks for this. We ask in the call for papers that really start with end user needs and that clearly show a relation to end user needs and to operational deployment. So this is a conference where if this is an important aspect to you, to your work, which it should be, then this is the place to be. So let me now go a little bit through specific examples that illustrate these trends that I have mentioned. So trend number 1, which is all about maturity, robots that are not staying just in the labs, but are actually entering realistic operational context. And there were various examples at the conference. I have just picked some and listed them here. We saw systems for fire suppression. We saw real industrial firefighting. We saw landslide assessments, nuclear site inspection, GNSS denied drone operations. All these are steps towards actual adoption. On the slide, I have highlighted 2 such examples. The first one on the picture on top is showing a newly specifically developed drone that is dedicated to firefighting. So a drone that can actually extinguish fires and does that by impulse-based, by impulses of water to extinguish fires very, very precisely. It was tested on various real fire scenarios, forest fire, as well as buildings as on the picture. And it's one of the examples that shows that drones can not only observe what's going on, but also can be used to intervene. Another example that I have highlighted is the picture lower down. That's a ground vehicle that was developed in order to examine landslides areas, and it's a vehicle that is equipped with various kinds of sensors and can teleoperated or autonomously move in areas which are in risk of landslide. It can detect vegetation stress, moisture, and terrain deformation, and enable a real-time risk estimation. In that it's multimodal sensor combinations. Actually, an example of the next trend as well, because this is about combining information from different sensors. In this area, we have seen also various examples of sensors using thermal, RGB, LiDAR, hyperspectral, event camera data to detect various kinds of hazards and understand the environment. This is, of course, essential, as we all know, for creating a more complete operational picture and supporting better decisions. The examples that I highlighted here are two. The first one, again, the picture on top, was a paper that was showing an ultra-low latency onboard object detection using an event camera and using a special chip that enables putting high demand processing on board of the system. And so with this, the system is able to achieve millisecond level perception on board of a drone and thereby allow a reactive flight without any external computation. The next example uses an RGB and thermal and geometric data in order to detect fires and also humans. This is actually a system. This is actually together with the drone for firefighting that I showed on the previous slide. So this is the sensor processing that's on the drone. In the picture, which is kind of blurred a bit, there is a fire detection, and within that there is the detection of the actual source of the fire. So they have this data processing pipeline, which can also detect humans, which is of course important for safety. You don't want to start blowing water over humans moving in case such as first responders in front of the fire. Going quickly to the next trend, and probably the rabbit is coming out of the hole, I'm afraid. I have to speed up. So the third trend that I mentioned was teaming between ground and air systems. We again saw various examples of this, shared perception, or doing it in order to improve communication, also cooperative manipulation, coordinated inspection. On top of the top example is from joint firefighting, where a drone observes a fire and provides data to direct the water stream, in this case from a ladder from a firefighting vehicle, in order to actually be able to better extinguish fire in a more precise manner. The lower example concerns ground vehicle teleoperation, where drones are ensuring a good network connection. There is one drone that is tethered to the ground vehicle, and the other drones are distributed in a fashion to be able to ensure a good mesh network for connectivity. And in experiments, they have shown that the teleoperation was reliable. Let me quickly go through the fourth and last trend that I mentioned, and this is something that really is a very important aspect that has already been mentioned: the user-centered and operationally validated design. there has been various papers showing also the kind of different levels at which, or manners in which, end users can be involved in research and development, from doing surveys, through very controlled experiments in simulations, through really doing joint exercises or joint deployments. The examples I have here on top is an example of doing experiments in simulations, a simulation looking at the difference between controlling a robot for inspection or manipulation using virtual reality versus classical 2D screen-based control. And they found that the virtual reality, even though it has some challenges, say with sickness, does provide a better operator experience. And at the bottom, we have an example of what we really like to see a lot, joint exercises. This is a project in Austria where they are using a commercially available Unitree platform, put sensors on it for CBRNE scenarios. But the important part is they are doing all this together with end users, working out standard operating procedures for integrating such robots in operations and doing joint exercises. So these were examples of the 4 trends as I presented, and I want to close with a few takeaways that I suggest on the basis of this. One is that the important point that situation awareness emerges from fusion, not from isolated tools. We need robots, drones, and other sources, and various sources of data integrated into a shared operational picture. The second takeaway that I would suggest is that operational readiness requires realistic validation environments, integration of, as we have seen, standard operating procedure integration, but also robust communications and user feedback loops must be integral parts throughout the development of a system. Third, I really see a good opportunity for clusters like this one and others. I really personally think that we need to work together and we need to share results, we need to connect them, we need to avoid reduplication, and we need to move forward on this basis. I also think that we need to be honest about the state of development. I think that the way that the project evaluation and everything is set up, projects are very much animated to make shiny videos and have happy end users saying how great everything works. And I think if we are honest, then we all know that this is not always the case, and that's okay because we are developing things. But we need to be honest about it because it's also about expectation management. And finally, I really see big opportunities in creating a European capability uptake pipeline when we all are concerned about how our technology fits into operations, and we should be able to create, in Europe, a way of translating technologies from research into application. Just one sentence that DRZ. All these things that I'm talking about are at the heart of the German Rescue Robotics Center. We are an organization where this is our mission, and we also have certain infrastructures and certain experiences that enable us to work on this and support projects in doing this. And with this, I would close. Thank you very much for your attention. If you're interested, then have a look what we are doing and get in touch with me, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Ivana, for this insightful and comprehensive presentation. Let's see if there are questions at the moment. Otherwise, we can continue.
Thank you. Let me
I don't see a question in the chat, no.
Okay, if any question pops up later, just let us know.
Yes.
By writing it in the chat. So our next speaker for today is John Hall, International Emergency and Disaster Specialist, former Chief Fire Officer and Head of the UK Fire and Rescue Resilience and Government Advisor, founder of the Resilience Advisor Network and the Crisis Management Innovation Network of Europe, the RTC Cluster Coordinator, in which OVERWATCH, Colaris2, and DIREKTION are involved. He is also the lead for the DIREKTION project. So without any further ado, John, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Nini, you see, introducing me like that guarantees failure, doesn't it? It sounds so grand. So the purpose, thanks ever so much for that. The purpose of my brief chat with you this morning is to really reinforce some of what's being said about the power of clustering. And particularly Ivana just gave a perfect introduction and a segue into this when she said about sharing work, working together, growing the impact of your results. So really the next 10 to 15 minutes is going to be about demonstrating what's already there and actually supporting this initiative as it grows into something that can genuinely break out of the project bubble and become something part of a bigger thematic cluster. So with no further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about the environment that already exists for clusters, how it's supported by the European Union, how this cluster and its members may choose to break further out of their individual bubbles and make the most of the broader register of users and practitioners. And Vasilis really helpfully said about making more of users and practitioners, so you get closer to the users. We literally have thousands of users engaged with projects. So for 2 or 3 projects to think that they've got a good bank of users, well, yes, but have a look outside of your individual bubble and you will find that there's a much bigger pool of people to use. So it's that kind of thinking. So the message of this whole session is really be bigger. So always be bigger. If you have a cluster of 4, I guarantee you there's another 10 that are interested in your specific thematic area. So join a cluster of 14. I guarantee you that there's another 20 that have interest in the impact of your work. So join those as well and really be bigger, increase the impact of the cluster and really increase your voice. So from 1 project to 4 projects to 60 projects, just make sure that your voice and your opinions and your outcomes are heard. So let's move swiftly on. A very quick background of CMINE. You all use CMINE to register for this event, so I know you're broadly aware of it. It's the Crisis Management Innovation Network Europe. It's funded by the Commission, and it was actually part of a sustainability strategy of a 43 million euro project that was run some time ago called Driver Plus. It's now managed by an organisation called RAN that I work for under a memorandum of understanding with the European Research Agency. So it's very well founded. It's financed through grant agreements. So we include it in grant agreements and a number of projects have it in their grant agreement to actually fund it and continue the work of CMINE. So we have a networking environment now called the Crisis Management Innovation Network Europe, CMINE, that's supported by Europe. It's funded completely and it's available to grow as a free and informal group to support the work that all projects are doing. Now it's open to all funding mechanisms. Now it's interesting, you've heard 3 of the 4 projects are already involved in some of the clustering organisation going on, but it's already engaged, for example, with the Knowledge Network, which is where, of course, Colaris comes from, the European Civil Protection Knowledge Network. EU Space, you've heard that introduced by OVERWATCH, who are part of the clustering arrangements. The European Defence Fund, Marie Curie, and a whole host of Horizon projects are all engaged in the clustering. So it breaks completely out of the bubble of the funding bubble, if you like. So it doesn't really matter if you're funded through Space Agency or whether you're funded through DG Home and Horizon. The fact is you're working with other people that are interested in the subject area and can contribute to the subject area you're looking at. Moving swiftly on, membership at the moment, it's just, this is actually an old graphic, it's just over 3,000 at the moment, individual members of CMIND. So when I talk about access to the crisis management community, this is the sort of number of people I'm talking about, and the ability to reach way beyond your individual project to engage with people. It supports lots of activities through CMIND. It's a networking concept. It's not a website. The website exists as a focal point, but there's lots of project groups. I think we currently have about 30 project groups hosting their websites and their cluster work on the platform. Great for fact finding. Just ask questions. Who else is working on this particular area? Promotion and managing events, as we did for this. I think we ended up with about 100, just short of 170 registered for this. This is the power of networking, not just doing it as your own project. So you can massively increase your reach by doing this. Online surveys, webinars like this one, results and dissemination. So lots going on. So let's just talk quickly about the clustering. Informal, voluntary and free subset of a thing called CIRRUS, which is the community of users that was originally set up to support DG Home's multi-billion euro research programs. So what happened then was that CMIND actually did a deal with DG Home and the European Executive Agency at the time to actually create an informal club for organisations with like-minded and similar thematic areas. Moving swiftly on, I'm very conscious of time and don't want to waste any of your time. So the clusters themselves operate under a formal terms of reference, so that's well up front. They promote good practice, they promote collaboration. I'm sorry, it's automatically advancing at the moment. And they look for opportunities for efficiency. So simple little things like glossaries of terms, which every project recreates, or it doesn't when it should. So we try to join together glossaries of terms and say, well, here's a start for you, use that as a basis. So it says the individual clusters at the moment are running anything between 15 to 20 projects. That seems to be about the critical mass for an effective thematic project. So that's the three, and we're just going to go on to have a quick look at the ones that are already there. So there's 3 of them substantially running at the moment. First one is the Responder Technology Cluster, and you'll see the 3 projects that have already been mentioned in here. And no doubt we'll be having a chat with Unicorn to see if it wants to become part of this broader group. This is the best one. It's actually managed and hosted by DIREKTION and facilitated. This is the one, let's see if I can hold that on the, no, it's not having it, is it? If I can hold it on the screen, I do apologise for this. I think it's probably, no, it's running through them anyway. Let's carry on regardless. Yeah, managed by DIREKTION. There's 2 others, one around CBRN, one around societal resilience. And in total, I think, as I say, there's between 60 and 70 projects engaged in the clustering initiative, and we very much welcome this new cluster to that whole thematic area. They're run under terms of reference. They meet approximately every 12 to 16 weeks, so it's not a high workload, only for an hour, and it's a chance to make sure that individual projects are aware of what other projects are doing in their work area. There's a provided chair and facilitator. It's fully funded through the commission and the descriptions we used before, and we will very much welcome an increased involvement for the space agency projects in this initiative if you see fit. A lot of that stuff around promoting events and what have you. Okay, we've done that. What they do, the sort of things, dissemination, they're just an amplifier for the work you do individually within your project. Very light touch. It never tells you what to do. It only ever gives you additional resources. It says, have you thought of speaking to this person? It never ever directs a project. It can't. The grant agreements are very clear about who's in charge of your project, and it's you. So we're very clear of that. But we do run to very clear ethical guidelines. So that's helpful. Right. Moving on quickly. Current activities. This is important. Shared glossaries I've already mentioned, a lot of communication activity. For example, next week, another webinar is running with the same title that this one has. I don't know if you were aware of that, but that's the sort of thing you would get to know. So a lot around that, and it actually hosts a webinar series which will give you an insight into what else is going on. We're very keen to support other networks and other organisations through different funding mechanisms, joint events. Young Research Initiative is really exciting. About 20 projects have signed up to create a summer school for new projects and for new young researchers, all being managed through the clustering. And the big one that we're going to concentrate on very briefly now before I wrap up is the policy brief publication. So I mentioned earlier about amplifying your voice and the benefit of working as a cluster to create policy recommendations, technical guidance, future standardization work, so CWAs, or laying the ground lanes for future standards. So this year, in fact, DIREKTION led a policy initiative amongst the 17 projects that signed up to it, all around responder technology. So bang in your area of interest. 200 organisations signed up to it and contributed to it, and 8 commission directorates contributed. In fact, they wrote the introduction to it and contextualised it. Now, this was a way for projects to have an opinion. You don't get to set policy. That's not how projects work. You do, and you are allowed to have an opinion. So this whole initiative is about making sure that your opinion is heard in the best way possible. And as our project officers will tell us, they have such limitations on their time. If you speak as one project, then you might get a minute of their time. If you speak as 20 or 30 projects, it suddenly becomes worth half an hour of their time to read. And they understand that it's not just the opinions of a small group, it's the opinions of a much larger group. So we'll share this policy brief with any follow-up information that comes out after the meeting, if that's all right. Thank you, Elizabeth. I can see you nodding. That's great. But we'll encourage you to be part of future policy briefs. They're not aimed at any particular directorate. They are aimed at gathering the views of different projects acting in similar thematic areas. And really, Vasili's point about making the most of users and what have you is really helpful. So we'll make sure that you've got that link going forward. Okay, that's pretty much me done, other than to say sustainability is a massive issue. So projects have a habit of creating things that die either the day their project closes or within a year or two. Now, we're doing a lot of work at the moment to make sure that the outcomes of projects are sustained and maintained. There's a new platform called the Stakeholder Hub, which currently has the outcomes and the tools and serious games, all that kind of thing, from the outputs of about 250 projects now. It's all being done through the same process that we described earlier. It's called the Disaster Stakeholder Hub. The Disaster Risk Stakeholder Hub. It's a dedicated area for that. So we're desperate, and a CMINE itself has a horizon of in the region of another 7 years. It's currently funded for another 7 years operation. So I guarantee that's longer than any current running project has a horizon. Most grant agreements talk about maintaining the website maybe for 18 months or 2 years. This is a way of making sure that it's sustained well beyond that. It's available for individuals as well. There's a QR code there. As I say, it's all voluntary, and join in if you wish, but it is designed 100% to be an amplifier for your project and to make sure you're not living in a little bubble, not aware that there's another 6 projects working on very similar issues to the ones you are. So any questions? Happy to take.
We are perfectly on time, so if you have questions, there is just 1 more minute.
Lovely. Looking at the chat, I think. Yeah, please. Can I just speak? I did not. Hi, John. Thank you very much for this. You mentioned that the CMINE actually is able to like support initiative. Does that mean like funding initiatives that fit within the mission?
No, not at all. The individual projects are funded to support a broader group of projects, but that doesn't extend to funding. Although So a lot of the projects do run internal funds for various things. And if you look at, for example, the procurement work streams of the SSRI projects, then they do promote their procurement opportunities or their pre-procurement opportunities through award systems through the structure we've just spoken about. Direction itself, and Bastian's going to come on and talk about that in a minute, ran an awards process for innovative solutions into responder areas. That was run through the system as well, but there's no direct funding via CMINE. That's a totally different thing, but there is an awareness of which projects are set up to fund innovation. So does that answer your question, Ivana?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Bastian, I've seen you commenting in the chat. Did you want to say something?
I saw another hand, if I'm not wrong. But please, if you have question, add it in the chat, since I cannot see your. Oh, see, yes, there is a hand.
Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. John. So I'm a PhD candidate from Morocco. So my question is, as you said before, is for the membership community. Is it just limited for, we can say, the European community, or can be enlarged to other communities? For example, because as we see that for the stakeholders, they are not just locally, but they are international, and we say regional, and also we have the national. And by the way, we have also the local. So as we have those, we can say the risks, and we see the all society risks. So is it like those, we can say the membership, and also for the grants, and also the work, by the way, for the whole this community, is it just limited to the European, or can be enlarged to other communities, and also for maybe the researchers, academies, and so on? Thank you very much.
What an excellent question, Tarek. Thank you for that. So let's start off with the simple answer. CMINE, the actual the environment for engagement with individuals, is very much open to the world. And if you actually log in, you'll see a map there of where all the members are from. You will certainly see some from Morocco, and you'll see them from all around the world. It has a natural density in Europe because that's where it was born. But CMINE itself, and engagement with most of what I've spoken about, is entirely open to the whole world. So that's a great question. Your reference to projects is a slightly different answer. Every call that comes out, whether that's from the European Space Agency or whether it's from Horizon Europe, will be explicit about who's eligible to participate. Now, increasingly, it focuses obviously on Europe for strategic security reasons, but increasingly it is encouraging membership of project consortium from other regions. And I quote, for example, from Latin America, or from the Caribbean, or from North Africa. And these are often described, or from Asia, they're often described in the call itself. So projects should be aware of your availability as a user and a practitioner from an area, a third country outside of Europe. And I have no doubt that if you make enough noise and keep waving to everybody, someone will say, actually, we really value a practitioner opinion from Morocco, or whoever represents. So there's two kind of answers. One, everything is open to everybody. Number two, from a contractual purpose of point of the projects themselves, they vary, but nonetheless, I suspect they will very much value having access to third country practitioners like yourself and researchers. Does that answer your question, Tarek?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank
Excellent.
You.
Please sign up to the bigger group, and we'll look forward to connecting you.
Yeah, of course, I will. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. And I have to ask you, please, to write your question also in the chat, because if we run out of time, we can still send them to the speaker after the workshop. So if you have any additional question, please use the chat. And also check the chat, since Bastian added a couple of useful links. So can be very interesting. We can move on in this in the second section. We engage directly with the responder community to understand the real challenges they face. This way, we can understand and identify future investment priorities at national and European level. We leave the floor to Marisa. Project manager for multiple projects and research associate from NOAA, the National Observatory of Athens, and Unicorn project coordinator.
Hello, thank you, Massimo. It's my pleasure to chair this second session, which focuses, as you said, on the real challenges and needs that the responder community faces in the field. So today we will hear some first-hand perspectives from organizations that operate really at the front line of crisis, like from medical emergencies to military civil cooperation and fire response. Understanding their operational gaps and evolving needs as well is essential, I think, to ensure that our research and innovation efforts are truly support those people who protect our societies. So let's listen to their insights and reflect on what still needs to be improved. So then we can, let's say, bridge the gap between the responders' reality and different technical solutions. So first, I would like to give the floor to Sandra from the Austrian Red Cross. Sandra?
Thank you, Marisa and Massimo, for inviting Austrian Red Cross to this workshop. I hope you can see my screen already. Can you just...
Yes, perfect.
So Austrian Red Cross is part of the network of Red Cross and Red Crescent societies in 191 countries, based on the ideas of Henri Dunant and the battlefield of Solferino. And the Austrian Red Cross is operating in all 9 federal states of Austria, and a lot of district or all district fields and local levels. And this is done by about 90,000 volunteers and staff members. And all of them are working on our 7 principles within the movement, which are humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independency, voluntary service, unity, and universality. And in this workshop, we are also representing the DIREKTION project, which was already mentioned by John earlier and will be also presented by Bastian a bit later. And the center of the attention for Austrian Red Cross or the Red Cross movement are, of course, humans. So all of the technologies we might involve in our services also have to give better services to humans, not only the ones we serve, but also, of course, our staff members and volunteers. Regarding challenges with the AI and drones and satellites, we want to keep our focus on the humans, as mentioned, the volunteers, the staff members, but of course, mainly to those we want to support and we are working for. And the challenges are like on several different layers. They are on operational level, really boots on ground in the field, but also on tactical and strategical level. And challenges that arise are, for example, by biases for particular groups, or regarding specialized equipment that needs to be exchanged. And if you have to exchange all the equipment in the field, it's also very costly. So we need to take into account adaptation costs. It also takes time to adapt structures, hierarchies, SOPs, and of course, we also take care of data and privacy, so reliability and trustworthiness are a big issue. You also mentioned, John, earlier that there is this defense fund, and we are aware that a lot of technologies are in parallel developed also in civil research, but also in military research. So we do see some kind of challenge also in the dual use factor. Of course, all of our main goal is also to not do any harm. For solution experience, we are for several years involved in research projects on national and EU-funded level, and those are also dealing with support for our needs by AI, robotics, drones, or satellites. And most of the tools are rather on a low or medium TRL level, so not yet transferred to real operations in the field. But some are also covering aspects like support for persons or object detection, like Ivana showed a bit earlier in her presentation. And we also had projects dealing with, for example, triage management in mass casualty incidents. We do also have experience in some testing and piloting with as well AI, but also drones and some satellite imagery. And for AI, we, for example, had a national funded project on support for exercise evaluation with AI tools in the back. You can see the picture up here. With drones, we have been engaged also with Land Rover for several years for advanced incident command vehicles to support search operations for persons, and of course also situational awareness. And one of our testing capacities for logistics and transportation, for example, was drones for blood products to be delivered in like faster time to more rural areas. And I suppose the presentation is just dropped. I'm sorry, I will share it again. Sorry for this inconvenience. I'm not sure if you can see already.
Not yet.
No. Actually, it's just like you can also see our project portfolio in this QR code link, and I will hand over to Marisa again for the next presenter. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra, for your time.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I would like now to give the floor to Jose Borges, the associate researcher at CINAMIL, which is an Army Engineer R&D center. So, Jose, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen. Please tell me if you are. You can see my screen. Yes.
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 Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Marisa, for the introduction. I would say that my presentation is very much aligned with the initial presentation from Vanina, to Vasilis, to Ivana, to John, and also. Okay, so my name is José Borges. I'm part of the Portuguese Army. I'm a civilian working in the Portuguese Army. I'm a professor and a researcher at the Military Academy Research Center. And this presentation was prepared together with two of my PhD students. So one is Daniela Freike. Daniela is a forestry engineer, and she is the assistant. So she's an emergency officer, and she is the assistant to the national director of the Portuguese Emergency Authority. And the other PhD student that took part in preparing this presentation is Vanessa Ferreira, that is a geospatial engineer, and she works for the Portuguese Army. Just the idea here is to go back to the words of John, saying that we have a huge community of end users, and we must bring the end users into our projects. I fully agree, not only to provide requirements and use cases, but also to take part in the development, and this is critical for us. So maybe you would be expecting me to talk about OVERWATCH, but I'm not going to talk about OVERWATCH. I'm going to give you first an introduction. So in OVERWATCH, we have two pilots, the wildfires and the floods pilots. So the wildfires was supposed to happen in Portugal on the 29th, and the floods pilot will happen in Poland on mid-March. And we have everything organized. And in Portugal, you always count with good weather. We are known because we always have good weather. Even in October, for instance, in 2017, we had the hugest wildfire in Portugal. About 80 people died in this wildfire, and it happened at the end of August. So we planned our exercise for the end of August in 2025. The point is, the day before we had our exercise, something completely unexpected happened in Portugal. So there was a weather disturbance, and precisely the day before our exercise, we had a huge uncontrolled flood. So we planned for the wildfire, for a controlled fire in a military facility, to give us the opportunity to have a very smooth exercise with everything working in the best way possible. But at the end, no, at the end we had this huge flood. And this is not something that you don't expect to have in Portugal. In Portugal, typically, we are not so much concerned about floods, as you might know. Normally, we are concerned about wildfires. So what I'm going to present from now on is a bit the experience that we have with end users, because as CINAMIL, as Army, we are an end user because we have a unit in the Portuguese Army that is focused on the emergency support. But we also work very close with the national authority and the firefighter brigades and everybody together and this is critical because we are in a moment in Europe, but especially in Portugal, where these transformations that are happening, these climate transformations are very severe for us. We are very exposed. We are on the far east side of Europe, or far west side of Europe, and it seems that this is a paradise with good weather all year long. But we are facing huge problems on our side for dealing with these climate changes. And when we work together with end users, their main concern is how to process data, because when you have a commander in the theater of operations and he must bring together data from different sources, even when they are very experienced, they always complain that, we would like to have some technology, and I'm going to address that in the coming slides. We would like to have technology that could support our decision process. And this is something that it's critical for them. We collected, even if we could not have the wildfires pilot in Portugal, we have a team. We were supposed to have 150 people working for this pilot. At the end, we have only the commanders working with us. And we collected some feedback from their side. They need to have more than reports. They need to have actionable information. They are not willing to have too many systems providing information that is not integrated or that are too complex to use. They are willing to have systems, but systems that work in a seamless way to ensure that the work is as smooth as possible. Sorry, it's not moving. I don't know why. So their perspective is that technology is a tool, and it should not interfere in the way they are developing their work. And they have several challenges when they are dealing with operations. They have issues with communication. So when they are in a remote location where the data links are not available, they need to somehow to provide this communication support. They must perform complex decisions in a very stressful context. They have access to data that most of the time is fragmented data. Even when they have together in the theaters of operation, when they have the National Emergency Authority and the firefighters and eventually the armed forces, and even private companies take part in the combat of forest fires. All these parts are very fragmented. Something as simple as have a radio that communicates and that allow them to have a common way of sharing voice. It's not straightforward. And Portugal has a network, an emergency network for communications, and we are investing a lot of money, and we have been doing a great job for a long time. But even though there is this institutional fragmentation that sometimes makes the process, the decision process and the actuation process quite complicated. And another operational challenge that they face is the training opportunities. In Portugal, you cannot have controlled fires from end of May until the mid of October. So when they are always, their training is on-job training. So when they have to deal with the situations, when they have to deal with the issues, it's on job. So they are always looking forward to have cooperation with projects such as OVERWATCH and the other projects that were mentioned in this presentation so far, to provide some other opportunities for training. And they don't want to have complex systems that they get lost and that are completely different from what they have daily. So they are willing to have systems that accommodate their requirements and that don't make them take an engineering degree to use the systems and to make them effective. So although we could not have the controlled fire in our pilot in Campo Militar de Santa Margarida, we managed to have the commanders with us, and they had the opportunity to use the tools that have been developed in the context of OVERWATCH, and they recognize that tools that are being provided are useful, but we still need to do some work to integrate the tools, the components of our project. So we still have some work to do in the integration of our components, but then we also need to have a further effort to integrate the tools such as OVERWATCH and the tools that come from the other projects. I would like to quote John, if he doesn't mind. That he said that projects tend to die 1 or 2 years after they close. So I've been working in IT for the last between 25 and 30 years, and this is sometimes true and sometimes it's not true. So when you manage to have end users and stakeholders engaged in your project, and when you have the industrial partners, more than the RTOs, but industrial partners, when they engage in the project and they see a way to monetize the products of the project, normally those projects move on. The ones that are sponsored by either the EU or national funds and that don't find this context of end users, sometimes they tend, effectively, sometimes they tend to die, and then it's a waste of money. And we always should try to find a way to ensure that our projects will live after the close. So technology is useful for end users, but it must it must speak in their language. It must accommodate their requirements. It must accommodate their needs. Okay, so moving a bit faster, they expect the information systems to collect, to process, to provide information, and to share the information in a secure environment. Because when they are in an operation theater, it's complex. Every different partners come, and they must ensure that the planning, execution, and assessment side happens in a smooth way, as smooth as possible. So I know that Vanina will talk about Overwatch in a few presentations, but Overwatch brings together Earth observation, UAVs, drones, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality, and it has been developed together with end users. So end users, this is a very end user focused project, so we work with end users as much as possible. From our pilot in Campo Militar Santa Margarida, we could not have the 150 personnel that we expected to have, but this is a photo from the 29th, and on the 29th, the weather was okay again. Okay, so on the 28th, we had a huge flood in Lisbon and most of of Portugal, and then on the 29th, yeah, it was not amazing, but the weather, yeah, we had sunshine. Okay, and we gave the end users the opportunity to work with the components, and this is the summary of their needs. So they need communication, they need information, they need situational awareness, training, interoperability, and this happens in a way that, yeah, Overwatch addresses part of these needs. Other projects that are going on address other parts of the needs, their needs, and going again back to the words of John, that is, yeah, we need to have an ecosystem. We need to have a cluster of projects and users and partners working together. So just to conclude, so I work for the military, yes, so, and in the military, you always quote Sun Tzu or Clausewitz. So I decided to quote Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu says that wisdom consists in knowing how to use resources to one's advantage. And I would say that this is the synthesis of my presentation and the work that we have been doing in Overwatch. So we need to have systems that are interoperable, reliable, that are near real time as much as possible, but always have humans in the loop. Humans are the critical part in any decision process, and any system must be designed having humans in the loop. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm looking forward for your questions, and we are looking forward also for the success of Overwatch and all the other projects that are running at the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. So now I would like to pass the floor to Michael, the commandant at CIS2B, that is actually the Corsican Fire and Rescue team. So Michael, you can share your presentation and let us know.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the connection froze.
Yeah,
no.
Okay.
I cannot see the
Thank
presentation.
you.
It's with the sharing. I had the same issue. So
I am just having trouble to share my screen. Let me
try to find the number. So it's, if you are using more than one screen, it's one or two.
I think Jorge is still sharing his screen. That's why you can't share.
Sorry?
I think Jose is still sharing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it was on my side. Sorry.
Okay, I will try again. No. 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 Sorry, I am having trouble to find my presentation.
I don't know, Massimo, if you have a presentation, I don't know if it's easy for you to share.
Give me a second, I can share your presentation.
Okay, sorry by that.
Not a problem.
What?
Okay, you see my screen?
Yes. Okay, thank you. You can go directly to the third
this one
slide. Okay. So sorry for the inconvenience. I will present myself. My name is Michael Pellissier. I'm from the Fire and Rescue Department of North Corsica, and basically I am a firefighter. So we will see I will present you the challenges for the responder community, and I think it maybe will shorter because I totally agree with what José Borges said just before me. That the responder community wants to have applicable solution and of course simple solutions to use on the field. Can you move next slide, please? Alors, first of all, I will have to say I'm an operational guy. I'm not a technical guy. I'm not at all into AI or drones, or maybe a little bit drones, but and satellites. But regarding AI, first of all, at the moment, my organization does not use AI for supporting decisions. Maybe, of course, it's a good opportunity to test products in the future, of course, because AI is developing pretty quickly. And we are now there are some solutions that can be used in the first responder community and field, but there is some problems or some challenge that needs to be understood, because in the end the commander of the operation is always responsible for his actions. So at some point, if he uses AI, he will have to explain why and how does the support decision has been taken. So we, of course, have to understand how the AI propose those solutions regarding data, analyzing data, and proposing options or solutions. What's going on between the system. So to start, we will need always start simple with the first responders. Simple solutions and explainable solutions. And of course, those solutions have to be deployable in every type of field. And of course, before using those solutions in real operations, we'll need to test them in realistic conditions. But for the moment, in my organization, we do not use AI. Maybe some of my colleagues in France, other fire departments are starting to use it, but it's not official. There's nothing official for the moment in France. Next slide, please. Now for the drones, as you said, everyone now is using drones. Of course, we have a drone team to gather the data, images, situational awareness, all that kind of stuff. But there are of course some challenges that need to be faced, notably sparse conflicts. Sometimes you cannot use your drones all the time during the interventions. And speaking about drones, we want our organization is working now on drones, and we are developing drones with a strong payload capacity. That is, from our perspective, the main evolution we want in drones, because now drones are of all type of cameras, sensors, so you can gather every data you want. But now we want to use strong payload to have more options on interventions, and especially in wildfire situation. We are in Corsica, as I said, north part of the island, and there are some problems to access some part of fires because there are a few roads, and it's always a problem. When you don't have an helicopter, we have one, but it's not always available. We have to find other solutions. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. And this is what we are working on. Our goal is to develop a drone with a high load capacity of payload. Our target is 350 kilograms, and we are at the first version of the drone, and we have made some tests in July of this year, and actually we can work with 150 kilogram payload capacity. So this is the real photo of the drone we are developing. Maybe because there are going to be 3 versions, and maybe the next versions are not going to be like this one, but we are developing this drone. Of course, you see on the picture of the right, there is some possibility to drop some water, but this is not our main goal, because we know with a strong wildfire, this cannot be efficient with a big fire. And next slide. And regarding the satellites for situational awareness, here are the challenges and the needs. Our main problem, we are using, of course, satellite image, but it's always afterwards. It's always you got always at least an half an hour, maybe an hour. You got the situation an hour late, and our goal, of course, is to have real-time satellite service. This is the main our main needs, and of course, always simple, operational, and actionable products, maps, risk layers, routes, access, etc. So in the project, Unicode project, we are working on those issues. And regarding the 3 description, AI, drones, satellite use, I think Jose said it before, but we've got always multiple data service regarding the organization. We are working. We are the main in France. The firefighters are the main power during wildfires, but there are also other services that participate on the field, and each organization has got his own data, his own softwares, etc. So the main issue is that we want to have a common software with shareable and almost identical data, layers, maps, softwares, etc. And for instance, we have worked this summer, not a strong summer in Corsica, but we have worked with drones that can map hotspots on the fire. It's after the main wildfire, when we complete the work, the second or on the third day, that we've got drones that can map hotspot on the field, so you can have the GPS coordinates of the hotspot on the field, and you can organize your mission to treat those. And but this has to be done on another software and not on our map, because in France we work with the software called the Crimson Tactic. This is the main software that it's national software, and every firefighter in France use this, especially on wildfire, and it's always a problem. You've got to always work on different maps, different computers, different softwares, and it will be great if those will be unified in one software that can treat all these data and those issues. Thank you. If you have some question, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Michael, for this presentation. Let's see if there are questions in the chat or somebody raises his hand.
Yeah, do you have time for questions, or because we're
asking out of politeness, but we can also keep the questions in the chat and address them on a separate note.
I see one question. The main use of the drone, you need a big one with a high payload, I suppose, is to transport equipment, mainly equipment, and in some points, of course, transport water, maybe 300 liters of water in a water tank to work on part of the field where you cannot have water, or where of course, when we don't have an helicopter to work, and of course, when you can have water on some part of the fields, and when our people have to march on rough terrain during sometimes 1 hour, it's difficult for them to transport a lot of equipment. This is not our first. This is not our first mission, but of course we have thought of it. But with 350 kilos of payload, it will be possible. But maybe in case of emergency. I was responding to a question that appeared on the screen.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you.
So thank you for the questions and thank you for the answers. Now, moving forward in this third session, the focus is on the application of emerging technologies in developing new tools and services to enhance the disaster response. So for now, I leave the floor to Anna Kobierczyka, Colaris 2 project coordinator from the Space Research Center of the Polish Academy of Sciences. Anna, without any further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Since we are having a bit of the delay, let us interesting inputs from the representatives of the responders community, especially the points raised by Senamil, but also in the last presentation. So now let us move on to the research and development community and see if there are any overlaps. What are the challenges that they face when trying to ensure that the results of the research and development activities are actually transformed into practical solutions and used by the crisis management and civil protection institutions in their everyday operations. And it will be interesting to see to what point the needs and expectations overlap and what are the differences. So we will talk about the challenges, but we will also see examples of promising solutions already prepared by 4 European projects, showcasing the benefits of innovations to be implemented in the disaster response. But let me start by the very brief introduction of Colaris Network, which is a thematic community focused on the Do you see my slides?
Now, yes, but they're not in presentation mode.
Okay, let's so why not? Okay, again, presentation mode or no? Trying to. Okay, now it should be okay.
Yes.
Okay, then. Okay, so what are the objectives of the Colaris network? I said we are a thematic community, so we have one focus related to supporting the use of drones in crisis management and civil protection. We do that by sharing from the adoption of solutions into actual real-life operations. We support the development of skills, knowledge, and competences, but also we try to formulate recommendations and guidelines that might be useful for other actors. So hence our contribution to the responder technology. A brief, how we do it, by participating in thematic workshops, webinars, and conferences like the one that we are having here today. We organize trainings, virtual simulations, but also, which is a very important part of our, we have field trials. So not just theory, but also practice, real life exercises, real life first responders taking part in exercises in the field. We are gathering and sharing best practices and lessons learned, and we carry out a number of research activities, studies, and analysis. And one of those, the Foresight study, will be shared in a minute. What are the main thematic areas of our interest? So the operational practices, how drones are used for wildfires, for floods, what are the uses of drones for mapping, air traffic management issues. So all those are of interest to us. We support individual capacity building and international cooperation. And one of the points that we believe is very important, it's about data analysis and data sharing. This was also raised in the previous presentations, that we have a lot of data, but it's scattered, it's fragmented. So the challenge is to transform the available data into one common operational picture for everyone. It sounds simple, but believe me, it is not when we try to do it in real life. And last, who we are? Well, as I said, we are the network of stakeholders trying to support the use of drones for crisis management, but we want to be more. We want to be a sustainable community, and also we would like to offer a kind of a distributed knowledge center for the chosen topic. Here you can see a map with all our partners so far, but you are of course invited to join us if you are interested. The details, contact details for us are here. So after that brief introduction of the Claris network, I would like to give the floor to other, let's say, cross-cutting initiative. So John, please tell us how the Disaster Resilience Network works and what is the impact on disaster management. So I would like to give the floor and the presentation place for John.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Hopefully you can hear me. So we're going to double head this very quickly. I'll do a brief introduction to the environment that we're trying to create to have impact. And then I'm going to hand over to Bastian Keller, who's on the call as well, to describe a little bit more of the direct impact of the network itself. So you've already heard reference to how actually making impact and making a difference is not easy, particularly for one project. It does its work to its masters, its project officer and its funding department, but to actually have a bigger impact is not easy. Luckily, this was being addressed within the DIREKTION project, and it's been done by creating a plan for Europe to actually join up practitioners right up to the very highest policy setting bodies and back down again. So creating an environment where issues can be understood and acted on. So you heard me organise, now these are just ballpark figures, there's a lot of organisations involved in research projects, and I'm being very conservative here when I suggest that 500 organisations, thousands of practitioners and local authorities, the ones that are actually going to use our knowledge and information. So the research world has a good connection with these, because through the projects, it actually engages with these organisations and with these practitioners. So you have a fundamental layer that nobody pulls together into a cohesive group that gives access to this sort of number. Broadly, you have the Research Executive Agency overseeing it for the Commission, but there are others. So it's about how do we create these into a tangible voice. You heard mention earlier of the Risk Stakeholder Hub. So we're trying through Paratus, which is another project, and with DIREKTION support, to create an environment where everybody can speak to the same audience. And that's kind of more of a software solution. So as results come out, we can make sure there's a better awareness of them. And then you've heard us discuss the clusters. Now, this is the key component of clustering. If a cluster wants to have an impact, it has to be part of this route to getting its voice heard, not only with its direct sponsors, but with the broader group of those actually working on the thematic areas. And AI is a cracking example, isn't it? If we work in AI in a bubble talking about AI for drones or operational impact, we are missing 90% of the work that's going on AI, which are happening in very different environments, whether that's border control or fighting crime and terrorism, or just the policing networks that are out there. So you can see there, with simply mentioning AI, it's wrong to contextualize it to a single application. It has to be discussed somewhere in the broader context. So the clusters are seen as a way of actually delivering that. And then at the top, of course, you've got Europe, whatever Europe is. Now, we're using here an example of the Commission and its agencies, many of which are actually indirectly represented on this call. And we know there's at least 15 European directorates that have a direct interest in the work that you guys are doing. We know that. We can list them. We know who they are, and we know why they're watching. There's the traditional ones that we all know about, but there's also a lot like environment that have an impact, an interest through climate adaptation and in that context. So there are a lot of other directorates, large and small, that have an interest in what's being discussed. So that's quite a complex area. We had to try and create a forum that could actually create that link between the clusters and the Commission, and that's where DIREKTION comes in. A thematic project forum, somewhere where projects can have a voice that can be heard by the big people involved in actually setting project policy, setting future work programs, that sort of thing. It's had 3 meetings now, this Disaster Resilience Strategic High Level Forum. That's not a great name for it, DRSHLF. It's a working title and we're constantly trying to get it better, but it's already had 2 or 3 meetings. It's well attended, for example, by Sirius, the community of users, by FAFRI, who are the primary gap analysis organisation globally for responders, by the FEU, which is an organisation for representing practitioners and responders. It's the European Fire Officers Association. The Knowledge Network itself sits on this high-level forum, and a number of other interest bodies are listed there. So you can see in this, we're trying to create, through Direction's activity, a virtuous cycle of the ability for a practitioner down at the bottom to understand exactly how they reach the policymakers at the top and to create an environment where that can actually happen. So that's part of the knowledge network that I'm now going to hand over to Bastian to describe in a little bit more detail. But we thought it was important for you to understand the context of where clustering fits into this great scheme of making sure that practitioners have a voice, and also that it goes the other way. The Commission and the European agencies are able to have a voice back to the practitioners. And this is broadly the structure that's being worked on at the moment. It is becoming real, so it's not all fantasy and a lovely PowerPoint slide. It is real. With that, I'm going to hand over the screen and the microphone to Bastian, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you, John. So sorry, I don't have any slides, and I don't have my webcam. It's actually not working on WebEx. Don't ask me why, but I hope you can hear me at least. That's is the most important. So about the Direction network, so our ambition for this project is to move beyond the project-based collaborations that we have usually, and to establish a sustainable and permanent ecosystem, like John mentioned, where the responders, any kind of practitioners, researchers, various institutions that may be involved, and also the solution providers jointly steer innovation in that field. And we are currently working on the sustainability component of this ambition. So the partners in Direction have developed and produced a set of tools and outcomes that will support the access to procurement pathway, because this is a key point. Procurement pathway is, from our point of view, the key point, the key issue for innovation to reach out the people on the ground. So the activities of the network are underpinned by the DISF. So this is what we call the DISF. This is a Direction Assessment and Screening Framework that was developed, and it was made to have a systematic approach in identifying capability needs from responders and also operational gaps. So in this DISF, we have a set of toolkit. We have a toolkit made of 4 main tools. So a capability gap assessment tool. I will drop you some emails, maybe some links in the chat. So capability gap assessment tool, a solution assessment tool, a solution readiness tool, and a solution uptake tool. So with the link in the chat I gave you, there is a link specifically for this DISF. You can find more information, and if you have any question or wish to use this DISF yourself, we can assist you, of course. We would like to offer the possibility to any future project or ongoing project to use this DISF system to assess solution over the capability gaps that they address. But furthermore, the network, the Direction network, we also intend to facilitate several things. So, for example, with the online portal of solutions, so that you can find under CMINE website, it gives a long, it gives a record of solutions that were developed in EU projects, for example. We also have the policy brief, the RTC policy brief that was already mentioned, and we intend to update it annually with the responders, with the CMINE RTC cluster participant, and with the high-level forum members that John mentioned just before. We have this annual award that we are organizing during the project, but we also want to organize it after the end of the project to share knowledge, to recognize innovation, European innovation useful for responders, and I will detail it a little bit more in the last session of the workshop. And we also intend, and we are helping the EU and national research programming mainly through this policy brief. We organize different activities for knowledge sharing, like webinars. We help as much as we can the activity in the DRS hub, also mentioned by John. And of course, we want to be, we intend to continue to be present and actively participate and help to organize the series events and all these kind of major events for the DRS community. So the DRS network is intended to provide let's say, to ensure that innovation emerging from the EU research really make a difference on the ground. This is our main ambition, and we have created processes, tools, and governance mechanism needed to, let's say, transform research outcomes into operational and responder-driven capabilities in Europe. So this is, let's say, the ambition of DIREKTION network. John, if you want to comment or add anything, feel free.
Okay.
Not at all, Bastian. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation, and especially I like the pyramids showing the overall landscape of starting from the organizations up to the EU. So that was a bit about the general context, and now let us move on to the drone foresight study. This is the study prepared by my colleague from the Crisis Information Center of CBK PAN, Jakub Brzenko. So you will see at least some points that were raised in the previous session by the first responders, but now we will talk a bit more about the research and development and solutions provider perspective on that. So Jakub, before I give the floor to you, just a kind request to you and all the rest speakers still waiting for their turn in this session to please try to squeeze in a bit, because we are running a bit behind the time. So Jakub, please try to be as informative as possible, but also as brief as possible. I know it's a challenge, but I'm sure you're up to it.
I will do my best. Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, and good morning to everyone. We have indeed had a nice introduction of the topic of drones by previous presentations. So I will skip directly to the meritum of the Colaris activity. It's in this case covered by the report on the, we call it mini foresight. It is about a 3 to 5 year perspective of using drones, and we conducted this research with the purpose of not only trying to understand what will be the main application areas of drones, but also what are the critical enablers which are needed to really fully exploit them. And on the screen you can see the report which has been published. It is available. It is available from the UCPM knowledge network, UCP knowledge network site. I think it could be also put on the chat. Maybe Anna, we could put the link in the chat now. But as we encourage everyone to look into. And now I will give you a very brief summary of the key points. And also, please note that the presentation is slightly larger. These points are there for those who might be willing to access the presentation afterwards. But basically, the key message is very simple. The drones are here. However, we are not exploiting what is really technically available. We are exploiting only a relatively minor fraction of that. Effective use of drones is really limited today mainly by legal and organizational obstacles. And we can even heard it, for example, in the presentation of Michael. A number of points are not technical ones, are really those which are established by the way we as a users can adapt or create methods of using drones and on a human factor level to prepare to effectively use that. And of course, the legal issues, including the air traffic management, which is one of the keys. So pace of technology development is really not something which is a key here. A key factor. In the study,
Yes.
We seem to be having a background noise.
Somebody muted.
Yeah. And in the Colaris foresight study, we have tried to identify a kind of a logic. We are talking about the drones which are gathering information and those which are flying robots conducting other activities. And I will give you a very brief overview on the 3 types of sets of use cases. The first are those which are related to drones being first on scene, arriving before the first responders, really being able to provide first reconnaissance, but also possibly delivering first aid equipment, the defibrillators, survival packs, but they could be also used for population warning or even to establish a communication, two-way communication with people in distress. And what is important is that this is possible technically, but it's limited today by air traffic management, the ability to conduct BVLOS flights, rapidly accept flight plans, ensure that we can fly safely. And also there is a number of technical solutions that need to reach a higher level of maturity to implement this really fully effectively around Europe. However, the pilot activities are already implemented and actually used. Then we have the group of applications which are related to the normal typical response activities. We call them first 2 hours. And here it's of course about the building situational awareness, assessing damage, supporting early decisions, conducting search and rescue, and also some physical, the robotic activities like the fire suppression, transporting the equipment, or even with the growing number of eVTOLs, hopefully we can have a wider scope of means to support arrival of first responders. But again, here we need a few organizational arrangements. Mainly the blue light flights need a priority, a clear priority, which is not the case for the current in the current formal structure under development in EASA. We need to be able to establish the rapid restrictions on the air traffic, the closed airspace, and we need to coordinate the drone operations. Just all these to ensure that we can fly safely. And on top of that, we need to address a number of problems like operational practices, having the people and the organization ready to coordinate and really get benefit from the drone activities. We need to ensure that the commanders, the incident commanders, are really trained, understand how to use, how to request and then use the drone services. And we need a technical GIS systems which can really provide drone derived data effectively and also in an interoperable way. Again, looking at Michael's presentation, that was a very good point. And again, a number of technical solutions which require a growth in maturity. No time to focus on that here. But let me then move to the third type of activities, the complex operations, those which are long-term over the large areas. And here, for sure, the drones might be perfect to monitor the area, to detect changes, to conduct specific analysis, but then also to conduct transport duties or even with eVTOLs and increased support for mobility of first responders. But here, for that, we need to establish the effective ways of coordinating the drone and human-operated aviation. It is a challenge. In most countries, it is not existing yet. And also, we need an effective IT systems for accumulating, sharing, and providing easy access to data obtained from drones during such an operation. Of course, the advanced data analysis is one of the key areas which will make the drones even more effective. Here, of course, we have the AI as the obvious potential. However, for the moment, it's still a kind of a large question mark. Potential is here, but we were looking forward to more real examples of the potential being operationally implemented and benefiting. So coming to the conclusions, first and foremost, air traffic management, the solutions which will enable safe flights is the most needed critical factor. This is the enabler for efficient use of drones. Then the AI-based solutions for data processing, analysis, this is something which really opens the ability to benefit the most from the drone or related technical capabilities, having the common operational pictures and having the specific information actionable information identified. This is something which can be done, or we think that can be done by AI solutions quite extensively. Then organizational arrangements among the civil protection players, civil protection stakeholders. This is both in terms of the actual organizational arrangements, but also the know-how among the people of what is possible, how to use it, how to really make these technical possibilities effectively implemented. And of course, we need the ecosystem supporting introduction of innovative uses of drones, where pilot activities and exchange of best practices, of ideas, also among the scientific community and practitioners takes place. Colaris is aiming and trying to be part of the ecosystem, but the more the merrier. We are really looking forward to other institutions to join, to have these discussions, this thinking, and this experimenting, trialing. Let's do it together. Let's make the drones more effective for the safety. I will almost close with that. However, there are two more points which I would like to raise. It's just the support from the exchange with practitioners. When we asked about the confirmation of those general challenges, you can see very clearly that there is a agreed perspective that the drones are really offering the technologies already here, and it is only a part of that which is being used, and this is going to actually grow in the coming 3 to 5 years. The gap will grow, and the air traffic management solutions are indeed the key enabler which is needed. And finally, on the same, what type of support activities are considered by practitioners are the most important, and again, active representation of the civil protection needs towards the use space and European legal regulators talking and establishing framework for future use of drones. And also gathering and sharing practical practices, national practices among practitioners is something very, very much needed. With that, I will thank you. I hope it was interesting. I would say it is something indeed very valuable for us to have drones, but let's remember that technology is not enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jakub. I have shared the link to the full foresight study in the chat. I do not see any questions there. So with that, I would like to give the floor to Vanina to tell us more about how the Overwatch project is combining Earth observation data, drones, and augmented reality to meet the needs of the disaster management community, especially in Portugal. So, Vanina, the floor is yours. Please remember about the time.
Yes, thank you so much, Anna. I will try to be as fast as possible. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my intervention is, oh, sorry, I am.
But we actually see a couple of screens.
Ah, okay. Haha. Then wait a moment. Okay, now I have lost you completely. Now, which screen you are seeing? Wait a moment.
A title using Earth observation. Okay.
Now I have interrupted the sharing.
Yes.
Okay, then. Oops. Wait a moment. Okay, now.
Yes.
Now it's okay.
You can see your screen. Yeah. Think it's okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but then okay. I don't know. It's not fast. I don't know why. Yeah, actually, I cannot move from the first slide. Everything is stuck. Now you see the first slide of the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, now you see the title, and now you see the image with the fire, right?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, sorry. At the end, I played it. Okay, so I will be again as fast as possible, also because my colleague Jose from Sinamil, which is partner in Overwatch, has already introduced and described the project. My intervention will be focused mainly on what we had the occasion to test in Portugal in the pilot demonstration that we had at the end of October. But in order to be comprehensive, I need to just say a few words about what the project is aiming to develop. The objective of Overwatch is to implement a crisis management system integrated with different technologies, namely Earth observation data, artificial intelligence models to extract added value information from the remote sensing data, the use of drones in case of wildfires, and the use also of augmented reality tools in order to provide an immersive experience also to the end user that are trying to manage the emergency response. Overwatch focuses also on the use of GNSS, trying to use all open access data provided by the European Commission, so Copernicus data, and the focus is on floods and wildfires, as you can see from the picture. Everything using an agile approach. So during the project that actually is almost at its end, the end is foreseen by the end of April of next year. We had many moments of interactions with the end users, collecting their feedback about the developed technologies and try to implement those feedback in subsequent development and improvements of all these modules. Very briefly, this is the overall architecture of the system. You can see that it contains modules that perform specific set of functions. In the services sections, you can see that all the modules involved in gestion and production of mapping products coming from Earth observation data, and all the modules that handle the mapping and navigation of drone and the mission management as well. In the platform layer are included all the backend modules, which represent the infrastructure of the system. So the front end modules, where end user can directly interact, and this is really important in order to be as user friendly as much as possible. Now, the architecture was designed thanks to this agile approach to interact as easy as possible with the already existing control room systems. As end users in the project, we still have the civil protection from Portugal, so the Portuguese army, as well as the Poland one, the Polish ones. Since we did the wildfire pilot demo, we had the occasion to get more in contact with the Portuguese, of course, but we foresee to do the same when the flood scenario will take place, probably in January or February of next year. I try to skip. So I try to go fast because I know that we are out of time. So we had this pilot in Portugal at the Santa Margarida military camps, thanks to the Portuguese army. And we tried to test the functionalities of our system, trying to answer to these challenges that you can see written here. So ensuring communications between the modules, support decision making, of course, and of course acquire and make available reliable and accurate geospatial information of the ongoing disaster event. As Jose already said, unfortunately we were very unlucky with the weather, so at the end we weren't able to have a controlled fire. But we had the occasion to test all the system components. Here I just put some nice picture of the pilot demo. You can see that we were in a military tent. That was really interesting. You can see some of our colleagues from engineering and InEdgeTech trying to make the system work. They were testing all components. And very briefly, so for the challenges before reported, these are our proposed solutions that you can find in the OVERWATCH system. In order to assure communication, the project developed a fallback communication network in case of remote places, so of communication issues. The fallback connectivity module is based on a theater drone equipped with a satellite black hole, providing an aerial hotspot and so offering Wi-Fi coverage to field team and ground stations to exchange voice, images, and metadata. And of course, also ensuring the communication with the command control room that in case of emergency should be placed in a sort of a tent, as you have seen in the images before, nearby the emergency event. Then, in order to answer to the support decision-making goal, the OVERWATCH platform you can see a screenshot on the left, is used through a command interface that is continuously updating by the management backend. So the geospatial repository, the importer and mapper for the data that falls within the geospatial repository, and that make available to the users the data coming from Earth observation sources. Satellite images like, I don't know, for example, the most recent and available and cloudy-free Sentinel-2 data in case of a specific event, or also the data coming from the drones acquisitions. So I will try to go fast. This is the walkthrough steps to create a response management in case of a forest fire. So from the platform, you create, I mean the user, of course, create situation awareness, defining the area of interest, then the request of the mapping services. So for example, available Sentinel-2 images or burned area delineations, or also severity maps, for example, in this case. The modules in the system, of course, run and generate the output that is visible to the user in the form of GeoTIFF layers. Then, in case a drone is needed to acquire with RGB and thermal cameras more data, for example, to catch the active flames, the user can request the drone mission from the platform. So you can see the drone deployment and the drone flight on the platform in real time. That is actually this. This is coming from the demo. Is one of the results of the demo. Here you can see the drone acquiring and flying. This was inside the tent, that was outside the military tent in the same moment. And the platform shows you also the status of the drone that was actually flying. Okay, then there is the final tool provided by the OVERWATCH system, which is based on augmented reality device. Here you can see one of our colleague Gabriele from HoloLight and one representative of the Portuguese militaries that is trying to use, and actually here we were also collecting his feedback, to use the device because all the functionalities that you have seen in the screenshots before are also visible within the augmented reality tool. Here is the creation of the situation awareness. Here the user can see, for example, the severity map of a wildfire, the delineation of the burned area, and then also the present in case of the deployment of a drone, the drone flying, and also the data acquired by the drone, RGB and thermal data. And this is more or less all I wanted to share with you. Unfortunately, again, we were unlucky with the weather, so we still need to have a further technical day to test the integration between components. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vanina, for this interesting presentation. Since we still have a couple of months to go with OVERWATCH, I'm sure all the testing will be done. But now, since, as I said, we are running a bit behind the schedule, so I would like to give the floor to the Unicorn project to present us their results and their solution. So Marisa, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Massimo, is it able
I
to
think
share?
Marisa is having some issue with the internet. I show
Yes, thanks.
my screen.
Perfect. If you can go to the third slide, probably. Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, today I will try to present you briefly the Unicorn project that is actually a research and innovation action that funded by USPA. We started almost a year ago, and we will go till the March 2027. So it's not that at the moment we have ready applications to show you. So next slide, please. So yeah, we basically focus on Unicorn on the development of different Copernicus emergency applications that we use Earth observation data and Earth observation technologies to address different extreme events like fires and floods, as well as geohazards like volcanoes and their impact on the environment, on the society, and in the economy. Next slide, please. So yeah, we basically developed some applications for early warning, for forecasting and hazard monitoring in order to do more like better informed emergency services and effective short-term recovery. So these solutions are more focused on local authorities like policymakers, industries, etc. So we will increase their preparedness, let's say, for all these events. Next slide, please. Yeah, so basically we address multiple use cases under various conditions, including different hazards, different stakeholder types, scales of applications, geographic locations, etc. So the first application that we have is a flood forecasting, focusing on the Attica region in Greece. The second application for fires is wildfire early detection, mapping, and nowcasting, focusing on Corsica Island in France. Then again for fires, we are having an application on high resolution fire danger forecasting, focusing on the northwestern Spain and northern Portugal. And the last but not least application is the lava flow emergency management tool for Etna volcano in Sicily Island in Italy. Next slide, please. So the first use case, as I said, is in Greece, and it aims to create an extensive flood forecasting system that we integrate Copernicus satellite data together with weather forecast fusion techniques. So the chosen location is Mandra River Basin, that is one of the biggest industrial units, industrial parts of Greece, including like oil refineries, factories, industries, etc. And there is a long history of flooding with 5 major events. The most devastating one had caused 24 fatalities and excessive damage. Next slide, please. So as I said, this use case will offer some flood predictions up to 2 days in advance. So the National Observatory of Athens developed this forecast system, which is fully transferable and scalable modular architecture, integrating different data, satellite, in situ, crowdsourcing, etc., as well as advanced modeling. The weather forecasting is going to cover the next 2 days on a spatial resolution of 2 by 2 kilometers. And the system will select, let's say, the best fit scenario from pre-run hydrological and hydraulic simulations that we're going to use with a very high resolution DEM, updated curve numbers in order to provide flood extent and depth mapping. Next slide, please. So for this use case, the main stakeholders are the public authorities, like the Civil Protection Authority of the municipality, of the region, etc. There are volunteer associations, the fire brigade, the insurance sector, as well as some private businesses which have their premises in the river basin. And the expected impact of this system is particularly in enhancing the early warning capabilities and reducing the response time, is to have a more, to transition from a reactive monitoring to a more proactive forecasting tool in order to predict these flood events as early as possible. And then this shift will empower the emergency planners with different insights in order to do some timely evacuation alerts, mobilizing resources, etc. Next slide, please. So the second use case is about developing a chain that rapidly detects wildfires, delineates burned areas, as well as deliver a fire propagation nowcasting up to 6 hours. So the chosen location here is the northern Corsica, France. Michael spoke earlier on the second session. This area is the municipality of Piguglia, more specifically, which was significantly impacted by huge fire in 2017, affected homes and the local population as well. Next slide, please. So here in Unicorn, we present a system built around this 3-tier approach. Let's say the first tier focuses on active fire detection, using satellite data from MODIS and VIRS for hotspot detections at different resolutions, as well as MSG severity for continuous monitoring with high temporal frequency. Links here integrates also some social media analysis to capture real-time reports from the ground. The second tier provides a bird area mapping and impact assessment. The system using the Sentinel-2 images to processed with AI in order to generate a 10-meter resolution bird maps, calculate burn severity indices, and track the different fire perimeters. And the third tier enables the fire propagation nowcasting, combining the weather forecast together with land cover data in order to predict the fire spread and support the early response. Next slide, please. So the stakeholders here are, again, first responders for forest services, local authorities, like authorities with additional relevance to emergency management system, insurance company, critical infrastructure operators, etc. And the system is expected to significantly enhance the precision of wildfire mapping and the accuracy of propagation simulations, accelerate alert activations, optimize the allocation of firefighting resources, and the system aims to improve overall, let's say, the emergency response outcome during the wildfire events. Next slide, please. So the second part of our fire use case is then where we'll focus on the northwestern region of Spain. So here you can see the different regions that we are interested in. That is Galicia, Asturias, Leon, and the northern Portugal. That is one of the most fire-prone regions in Europe, and you can see on the second map. Next slide, please. So Mitiga here builds a detailed fire danger index that describes the danger of fires to occur and how the fire will spread. Data science here combined with artificial intelligence and GIS will be used to predict the potential of ignition in the area of interest. And besides that, to stimulate the fire spread, cloud services will be used to run thousands of simulations, let's say, and this will require multiple technologies like GIS, modeling, cloud services, HPC, etc., to run these tests. And next slide, please. Yeah, the application to be developed feeds crucial information to insurance companies in order to develop products and promote measures for private forested properties, and also the local governments of interest may be interested as this application analyzes the prevention and the resilience measures for forest, and then a direct impact on the insurance sector is really expected, as the system is designed to serve as a basis for new parametric insurance techniques for the forestry section. So the system will provide an alternative method for the calculation of fire damage by combining prediction of ignitions and fire behavior in a single product. Next slide, please. So the third use case is focused on Etna volcano that I'm sure that all of you know. with frequent explosive eruptions. So lava flow has destroyed important infrastructure and towns on Etna many times in the past. So that's why we selected this area of interest. Next slide, please. So thank you. In this use case, we will develop a prototype emergency management tool for lava flow that will provide the user with lava emissions alert based on hotspots in the target region, detected via thermal satellite data and lava flow monitoring. Also will provide forecasted lava inundation paths based on the digital elevation model and different available information about ongoing eruptions, as well as operational loss forecasting by overlaying the forecasting data flow with the different exposure data. Next slide, please. So the stakeholder partner for the use case is INGV, that we'll speak later as well, who is responsible for informing the public and any stakeholders about the state of the flow and the potential risks. So again, main targeted end users can be first responders, local businesses, land use infrastructure planning agencies, private sector, and of course the general public. And the impact of this use case will be to develop these applications for the emergency management, to create a transferable system to be applied in numerous global regions like Hawaii, Iceland, etc., to highlight the benefits and the usage of Copernicus data, as well as to use of application as calculation agent for cat bonds for parametric insurance, which is a way to objectively determine whether the insurance is triggered and calculated the payout. Next slide, please. Yeah, very briefly here, you can see overall the results of Unicorn is basically the services that we mentioned before that we plan to exploit and try to replicate it as well to any different areas of interest. And next slide, I think this is it. Thank you very much. Any questions, feel free to write them in the chat as well, and I'll give the floor back to Anna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. We still have 2 more topics to go in this session. So let us hear more about the Etna case study. That's going to be the interesting one. So please tell us what is the volcano reality in Italy? I think you're muted. Do we have the connection with Manuela or something?
Emanuela, we cannot hear you.
Something seems to be wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So I'm immediately sharing my screen, hopefully. Can you see it?
No.
Can you see my screen?
No, but
No.
if you want,
So
I have your presentation. I can share it.
no, it's okay. I'll try again. What about now?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so we are moving to Etna, and I want just tell you something about INGV. That is the place I work with. Our primary mission is to understand the complex dynamics of the Earth system, encompassing both its solid and fluids component, to contribute to the mitigation of natural risks. Our work is broadly divided into main pillars: research and development, surveillance and monitoring, and the third mission. Our central headquarters is located in Rome, but our scientific network is spread across the country. For example, in Naples with the Observatory of Vesuvio, and with the Etna Observatory in Catania. So Etna is very famous for its persistent activity from its four summit crater, the Northeast crater, Voragine, Boccanuova, and the Southeast crater. So converging our attention on the last 10 years, we can realize that the Southeast crater was the most active, and its activity mainly consists of lava fountain associated with lava flow emission. In the recent past, we assisted at several powerful lava fountain episodes compound with lava flow emission, and between 2018 and 2019, we had also two small lateral eruptions with strombolian activity. But what I want to present you is the activity during 2021, when we witnessed 57 fountains in 8 months. They were mostly combined with lava flows and varying frequency, reaching up 3 fountains in 12 hours. Although the impacted area does not include permanent infrastructure, thousands of tourists visited it, especially in summer. Hence, timely mapping of each lava flow field and a preliminary assessment of ballistic distribution were mandatory for hazard mitigation. So in this period, we assisted two main cycle of episode, one between February and April, and the second one between May and October. So we face 3 main challenges when attempting timely mapping. And we had, as I already said, events sometimes happening within hours of each other, and the interval between successive events was often shorter than the necessary data acquisition and processing time offshore. This made it difficult to capture the state of the volcano before the next event began. We frequently observe lava flow active on 2 different flanks of the volcano at the same time. This immediately doubled our surveillance effort and complicated aerial mission planning. Lastly, the involved area, as I already said, was visited by thousands of tourists that increased the attention we had to play in this task. So to overcome this challenge, we successfully tackled this task by integrating data from 3 different remote sensing platforms: satellite, unoccupied aerial system or drone, and our permanent camera belonging to the monitoring network system. So each of these different platforms has advantage and disadvantage. For sure, satellite, the first things we think about it is that with a single image, we can cover the entire eruptive theater. Moreover, we can handle with visible and SWIR bands, allow the identification of different overlap units. And the cost, for sure, some open access images are for free, and they are very useful, such as Sentinel-2. But we have some disadvantage, for sure. For example, we cannot always control the time of acquisition, and the data of acquisition sometimes are obscured by plume or volcanic plume by the bad weather condition. Moreover, the gap between successive satellite paths can be longer than the interval between successive eruption events. So another chance is to use a drone. So with a drone, we have a high spatial resolution, allow for extremely high mapping accuracy. Mission can be scheduled according to current volcanic activity and weather condition. Moreover, we can also have thermal data as for satellite. But from the other side, covering the entire eruptive theater require a large number of images and demanding great computer power and processing time. Due to behind visual of light, line of sight, we have a restriction on flight on wind area. And moreover, even in this case, the weather and for sure the wind could be a challenge for the drone overflown. The last platform, as I already said, belong to our visible and thermal camera belonging to our permanent network, monitoring network. So with this camera, we can obtain images immediately with 2 frames per second, but and they are also both visible and thermal. But from the other side, lava flow coverage may be lost if the flow extends outside the camera field of view, for sure. And the resolution is not so good as for drone data. Moreover, one of the most important things is that if we have a high frequency event, the digital surface model that is necessary to orthorectificate the camera images is lost because the morphology change after each event. That imply we lose the accuracy of the orthorectification of the images. So in conclusion, only by strategically combine the wide coverage of satellite, the flexibility and the detail of UAS data, and the real-time temporal resolution of our fixed camera, we were able to successfully provide the timely accurate mapping data required for effective hazard mitigation during the 2001 activity. And all the data were then analyzed and grouped with a GIS software. So in this slide, I'm just showing on the right the lava flow map, and on the left you can see a diagram where lava flow area and total volume are exposed for each event. So on the right, you can see the resurfacing map from February up to October. So in this map, we are showing each time a pixel have been covered by a lava flow. You can clearly see that the area with the highest impact is located on the southwest flank of southeast crater. This area is only 800 meters far from the area most visited by tourists. So this is a very important point. So after that, I just want to show you a nice video taken from an active event during this summer eruption. from Etna, of course. And I want to thank you for your attention, and I will be open to questions.
Thank you very much, Paola, for this interesting presentation. Well, actually, I did visit Etna myself a couple of years ago, so it was interesting to see it from slightly different perspective than a purely touristic one. And also thank you for pointing out the way of using different data sources in order to offset their, let's say, weaknesses. So without further ado, I would like to move on to the last presentation in this session about the 24-hour multi-hazard advice service. And I would like to give the floor to the Aristotle project representative to present that solution. 20 minutes behind the schedule.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
So thank you. And now I'm sharing the presentation. Wait a second. Just a moment that I'm just to make it the full screen. Just a moment. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So somehow, I mean, I'm really kind of changing topic in a way. I mean, this is Aristotle is a European scientific partnership that provides multi-hazard expert assessment to the ERCC, European Response Coordination Center. So we are reasoning now at a different scale. So what we do is basically we provide, and this is what I'm showing right now, it's a scientific expert advice service to the ERCC, and that it articulates in different ways. There is a 24/7 multi-hazard global scale. Then it's provided to the ERCC, as I just said. It's operated by 20 national and 3 international institutions in Europe, and it provides the service through 3 different modalities, which is the emergency response that started in 2016. It is 24/7. Then there is the multi-hazard 3 times a week routine monitoring that started in 2020. And more recently in 2022, there is scientific expertise on demand. So there are these 3 modalities that are adopted by the consortium to provide expertise to the ERCC. Here are the 6 hazards that are contemplated. I'm going very quickly, just saying that this is within the EU regulations, or the EU CPM. So it's and this is you know, the say the laws at the European level are actually passed and establish also the existence of the partnership. So this is an important picture because it tells you, you know, what the ERCC wants. I mean, this is actually it gives on the horizontal axis time, and on the vertical axis the need for information and the information available. Usually in the very first hours, first minutes, first hours, you have very little information available, and there is a great need for information. And this is what actually Aristotle is all about, to try to have scientists to provide information through what is available, and so that the ERCC has information about, what are the actions to be taken. So in other words, we use multiple sources of information in different locations. And the important thing is that the experts, they're supposed to provide, what this information means. And this is what Aristotle is all about. Now I'm not going very quickly. Now we are at the fourth Aristotle service contract, which started in 2024, will end in 2028. But as you can see, everything started already in 2016. This is a map that shows who is part of the consortium. So there are 23 partners, 20 national and 3 international, from 14 countries in Europe. Overall, what is important is that we have the order of 150 personnel that are actually one way or the other providing their expertise for the 6 different hazards. These are the hazards. So the hazards are severe weather, floods, wildfires, volcanoes, tsunamis, and earthquakes. And you see on the side all the different organizations that are part of this consortium that provide the service. This is the internal governance that we have. We have the steering committee, an advisory board of international experts, a service management team, which is basically kind of providing all the organization and organizes the dynamics of the different bodies and how they interact. And here on the lower right, what you see is the multi-hazard operational board, which is basically the board that is providing the service 724. I'm not going into more detail. This is the most important thing is that the MHOB that you see here, the service management team, and not the least, the coordination team, which is made up of 6 representatives of each hazard. So this is the way it's organized, the multi-hazard operational board. You always have one expert that is available 24/7 for each one of the hazards. The service, as I said before, there is the emergency mode, which provides scientific expert advice within 3 hours from the activation of the Aristotle service. We have what we call the ROM, routine operational mode, which is provides expert advice 3 times a week on what are the areas in the world that might be affected by what we call the so-called forecastable hazards, like severe weather, floods. Clearly, this does not work for earthquakes and to some extent for tsunamis or volcanoes. And then there is the third one, which is scientific expertise on demand, which is basically we make available to the ERCC an expert that goes to Brussels and provides a kind of a on-site in Brussels expertise. So this is an example of the reports that we provide. This is for 2 earthquakes, one in Myanmar and one in Turkey. This is being provided within 3 hours from the activation. So just the activation occurred a few minutes after the earthquake. And here is an example of the what we call the light report, which is basically when there is something that's occurring, a natural hazard, which is not so impacting. So instead of having a full report, we have what we call a light report, also within the 3 hours. This is the routine multi-hazard monitoring. This is an example of the areas that on this report were notified to ERCC as being of a different level of hazards. So the hazard goes from very high hazard and very, very impactful, like this one that you see here in Myanmar, to examples, of, say, the green one is something that it's much more manageable and not so important. So the SCOD, the Scientific Expertise on Demand, we provide the service. I mean, it can be in different ways through oral and PowerPoint slides, support to the drafting of ERCC analytical brief. This is one of the documents that they prepare. Acting as a back office scientific support to specific UCP missions to provide remote, oral, or written support to specific missions carried out outside Europe mainly. And so some of the examples, I mean, these have been created for the Santorini swarm of earthquakes that occurred in 25, or the volcanic eruptions in Iceland, and so forth for other events. So thank you for your attention. I mean, if you want to contact the Giovanna Forlenza, who is the service project manager, for more detail, or the service management team. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. It was a pleasure to chair the session 3. And now it is time to move on to the last session. And with that, I will hand over back to the organizers. Thank you once again.
Yes, thank you, Anna. Thank you to the speakers of this insightful session. Now, speaking on innovations and solution, in this last part, we will have some outputs from the DIREKTION Awards. We leave the floor to our next speaker, Bastien Caillard, Senior Project Manager in Industrial Safety and Environmental Protection at Ineris and DIREKTION Project Manager. Bastien will present this wonderful initiative. Bastien, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Did I activate the mic? So for the sake of time, I will go very quick in the introduction slide about the DIREKTION Award so that we can focus on the actual presentation of the solution. So here, the DIREKTION Award, it aims at supporting innovation that serves emergency responders, and we do that because innovation has a value only when it reaches who needs it the most, meaning the responder on the ground. So why we do that? It's to really promote innovation useful for responders. So we for the awards, the solutions that apply are evaluated by responders. This is an important point. Only a responder organization do the evaluation using a structured method, similar to the DISF I mentioned before. So the winner receive feedbacks and visibility and a prize, and most importantly, a showcase during the Intershoots fair first week of June next year. So this is for them, I think, one of the most important outcome. We have organized the first edition this year, focusing on the higher TRL solution 8 or 9. So innovative solution. We had more than 40 eligible applicants and 10 winners. And what I wanted to mention here is that you can find on the DIREKTION website the database with all the applicants, demonstration, description of the solution, and so on, and the contact details also. And so early next year, we will launch the next edition of these awards, focusing no more on research project with a TRL around 5 or 7. So I went very quick in the introduction so that we have some time remaining for the solution. So we will have a presentation of 4 solutions that apply to these awards this year that are very much related to today's topic on how to enhance situational awareness from the sky, let's say. So I propose that we start right off with LiveEdge, solution developed by the German Aerospace Centers that delivers real-time mapping from aerial imagery and with advanced sensors. So I give the floor to Ralph Berger so that he can take over the screen and present the LiveEdge solution.
Thank you, Bastien. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And also thanks for the opportunity to present our project here. So let me briefly share my screen. So hopefully you can see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I can start. Yeah, you heard my name is Ralf Berger from German Aerospace Center, which is which is our national research institution for aerospace, but also for many aspects in the field of security. And my particular team in Berlin works on airborne cameras as well as on image and geospatial data processing. And one of our core applications is supporting emergency services. And for this purpose, we have developed advanced camera systems as well as our unique live mapping technology over the last 10 years, at least, always in very close cooperation with first responders. And I will now briefly present our solution called Live Lage, which means somehow a live situation in German, that we really believe can change situation awareness in emergency response. Okay, so you all know in complex emergencies, everything depends on having a reliable and up-to-date operational picture. Without that, so many actions become just guesswork, you all know. And aerial images has always been one of the most powerful ways to create that understanding, because you all know a view from above reveals things that you simply cannot see from the ground, for example, the scale of an incident or the dynamics of an incident. And this is why small drones have become so widespread in emergency services. We heard that many times before today in the presentations before. But the way these drones are typically used up to now comes with some major limitations. So most drones provide only raw video footage, cover only a small part of incidents, and most of them have little to no integration into command and control systems. So in the end, drone operation can be helpful, is helpful most of the time, but it is rarely efficient. So in complex emergencies, this approach simply cannot keep up, I would say. And this is exactly the capability gap that our solution addresses. And we do this by turning drone imagery into a real-time geo-reference situation picture. And the core idea is quite simple. Instead of collecting raw video streams that someone has to watch and someone has to interpret, we generate geospatial information on board of the system right during flight. So the camera captures the imagery, the processing unit turns it into a continuously updating map, and the data is then streamed into the command and control system. So that's it. And that means that our approach combines three key elements. First of all, the platform. We use the eVTOL drones from our partner Quantum Systems, which can reach even very distant sites, and that can cover both small and large areas really fast and efficiently. So second is our sensor. So our camera system called MAX, including our real-time mapping algorithm, generates maps and situational layers automatically. So within seconds, really within seconds, right on the camera itself and with no further post-processing. This is important. And third, operational integration. So all data goes directly into established C2 systems, such as Command X, using standard interfaces. So incident commanders don't receive a video stream. They get a map that updates continuously and that can be shared instantly with all units. So, and then, the result is a real-time common operational picture, and I want to show you this in a small video snippet. You see here the drone as the first asset to start after an incident, flying over the incident site. You see here the real-time map that is delivered to the C2 system really within a delay of 1 or 2 seconds, and then is then shared with all the commanders and all the forces on site, but also in the command center. And this is the key difference of our solution. The map exists during the mission and not afterwards. And maybe some last words. Live-Lage is no longer a research prototype. The system has been in operation for in operational use for more than 3 years now, at least, including some very major emergency response missions, such as the Turkey earthquake 2023 and some wildfire deployments and civil protection operations in Germany. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hopefully right within the time.
Yes, thanks, Ralph. Bastian, would you like to introduce the other?
Yes. Sorry,
Okay, so
my mic was muted, and when I wanted to share my screen, I could not activate the mic anymore.
okay.
Thank you for
No
taking
problem.
over. Thank you, Ralph, for the presentation. So it clearly shows that how real-time higher mapping and monitoring can help. So this brings us to the next solution, next example, which explore another approach to generate geospatial intelligence on the fly. So this is a TerraMind FX from Tyndall FX, and this will be Guillaume Cortes who will present us this solution.
Hello, can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes, good. Thank you, Bastien, for the introduction. Let me try to share my screen. Can you see something?
No.
Maybe Massimo, I shared with you the presentation if you want.
Yes. If you want,
because
you
it's
can share.
telling me that it's connecting, but I cannot see. I cannot see the slides. Yes, thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to present our innovation today. So I am Guillaume Cortes, co-founder and head of product of Tyndall FX, and I'm going to present TerraMind FX, which is our solution for a fusion of real-time 3D and embedded AI, in particular for crisis management and disaster response. If we can go to the next slide, I will provide a quick introduction about Tyndall FX. So Tyndall FX is a French deep tech startup company founded in 2023 that provides today a breakthrough software for civil security and first responders that has already been deployed. We'll see that in the next slide in France and abroad. The solution has been awarded several times, and in particular with the DIREKTION Disaster Resilience Award. The next slide. Yeah, so the problem that we wanted to tackle with the company and the product is that first responders today lack real-time 3D terrain intelligence during the operation and even for planning the operation short term. Existing solutions today that provide 3D, they provide 3D with a cloud-dependent approach, and it's very slow to compute, takes minutes, even hours or days. And in case of emergency operation or crisis management, this latency is not an option. We need to be able to react in real time. For that, we developed TerraMind FX. If we can go to the next slide, which is a solution that provides real-time photorealistic 3D mapping of the terrain. It's the only solution worldwide to be able to do that. You can see on the left that that's the mapping that it provides during the capture, during the drone's flight. It can provide RGB or thermal data. It runs directly on the field on a rugged laptop or tablet, so does not need any cloud or any network connection, any internet. So even in quite degraded environments, it can perform the reconstruction and provide that to the on-field operator. On top of that, we have AI-powered detection in the solution for detecting vehicle and persons. Could be victims, could be vehicles that are in the middle of the let's say the disaster, in the middle of the flood or something like that. The solution with the 3D, all the 3D awareness and information can allows the users and the operators on the field to identify entry and exit points, to be able to plan the operation safely. And it's an European technology, so it's could be useful sometimes. On the next slide, I'll just give a bit more details of a use case for intervention in disaster zones. Here we have two examples. On the top, it's urban fire in Paris, and on the bottom is an exercise that we did with the public security in France. As we can see here, the photorealistic 3D overview helps identifying access routes, entry and exit points, so we can see in the first one the routes in front of the building to be able to access the building. We can assess damage and visualize where the fire is, where it's going, and what has been already destroyed or not. And in particular, it enables planning operations safely and secure the field teams that are operating. So basically, this is a faster and more efficient way to address the interventions. Just to conclude, we have already deployed the solution. So as I was saying, in France, in the next slide, I show the list of, let's say, short list of deployments in France with the French civil security that are using the system both in the north and the south of France. We have already deployed with the Gendarmerie Air Forces, but also fire brigades, including the fire brigade of Paris and Lyon, where we have been evaluating the technology for some time, and we have active discussions outside of France and even outside of Europe with the Singapore fire brigades. That's it on my side. I don't think we have time for questions, but you can contact me on the email address that is displayed on screen right now. I'll be glad to have a longer discussion with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you, Guillaume. So it really shows how onboard processing and studio construction with embedded AI and so on can deliver immediate solution, situational awareness and in complex environments. So thank you. So I will try to share my screen again. So now you see my screen. So it's time to move to the next solution, focusing on the early hazard detection using multispectral sensing and lightweight deployment option, so called CHEM-IA from Azuria. And this will be Gillian El-Kouli who will present us this innovation.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you, Bastien, and thank you for the opportunity to share our project. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So, hello everyone, I'm Gillian, a business developer at Azuria, and I introduce CHEM-IA, a real-time detection and alert case designed specifically for crisis management operations. So CHEM-IA was born from a simple observation. In most surveillance architectures, we still transmit massive video streams to control centers where operators try to spot the few seconds that actually matter. So it's slow, energy consuming, and often very inefficient, especially when facing fast-moving hazards like wildfires or marine emergencies. So with CHEM-IA, we reversed this logic. Instead of pushing data to a remote system, we bring intelligence directly to the sensor. It's a compact case equipped with visible and thermal cameras and an embedded AI that processes what it sees on board in real time. So when something relevant happens, whether it is really early smoke, drifting boat, or person in distress, or even other events, the system immediately sends a verified geolocated alert. And because the processing happens on the device itself, we avoid continuous video streaming. So this makes the system extremely efficient, and by design, it is also compliant with GDPR and data protection expectations. So one of the strengths of CAMIA is its flexibility. So the same case can be mounted on fixed masts, drones, vehicles, or tethered aerostar ELIA. So the goal is really to reduce the multiplication of ultra-specific solution. So let me now explain why this matters so much for crisis response. First, for time matter. So the sooner an operator knows that something has started, the better the outcome. For example, in wildfire management, CAMIA has proven that it's capable of detecting smoke extremely early, sometimes before any human report. So this was demonstrated the last 2 summers in France with an operational pilot in the south and its real usage in the mid-region of France. Second, the connectivity limitations. So many high-risk areas have no stable network. And with CAMIA's Edge AI, we solve this. So it works with very low bandwidth and supports LTE, 4G, 5G, and soon satellite. So this makes it suitable for remote forests, coastal zones, protected natural areas, or even temporary crisis response setups. And third, the energy and resource efficiency. Because the analysis is performed directly on the device, we avoid the cost and environmental impact of data center processing. So instead of streaming video 24/7, CAMIA only transmits what matters. Fourth, rapid deployment and operational versatility. So the case can be moved from a mast to a drone in minutes, literally with 2 screws. When wildfire season ends, the same device can be used for search and rescue, flood monitoring, or even illegal dumping detection. Finally, CAMIA is not theoretical. It's already validated by real users, such as public authorities in France, teams in Thailand, and even SOS Méditerranée for maritime rescue scenarios. And drone manufacturers integrate source system for autonomous long-duration flights. And I'll finish with the broader impact and scalability of the system. So operationally, CAMIA helps prevent small incidents from becoming large disasters with early detection that leads to faster response. And the faster response usually means fewer environmental and economic losses. It also increases the safety of firefighters and first responders by giving them clear early situational awareness. And the system also expands coverage in areas where monitoring was previously impossible or too costly. And it was also designed from the start to serve multiple missions. So its architecture is repairable based on European components and powered by our Friggle AI. At the end of the day, one of the core values of CAMIA is its very low environmental impact. So our life cycle assessments confirm this approach. Its full impact is about 28 kilos of carbon dioxide, which is roughly 1/3 of the footprint of a standard smartphone. So thank you for your attention, and if you are interested, here are my contacts. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Gillian. Thank you very much for your presentation of CAMIA. So it really shows how it can support how early detection can support responders. So thank you very much. I will. Sorry, that's my way of sharing my screen. So now we will move to the last presentation of solution. So it will look at the solution for persistent 27 aerial monitoring with a balloon, so LIOM. So this will be Elliot Laurent, who will present us this innovation.
Hello, everyone. Bastien, I cannot hear you. I don't know why. I can hear everybody else, but not you. But I'll assume that it is my turn to present Liam. So let me share my screen real quick.
Yes, please go on. I don't know why you didn't hear me, but go on.
Oh, I hear you again.
Okay, good.
Perfect. I don't know why. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so I will present to you Liam. I don't know why my slide is slightly cropped, but we'll do with that. It should be all right. So our product has three main uses: security, safety, and environmental concern. So it can be used to detect, for instance, fire crisis. It can also detect threats such as, I don't know, a drone flying over a sensitive area or terrorist attacks, an intruder, these kind of things. And also gas leaks, such as, for instance, methane, which has a horrible impact on the environment. So these are how our product can be used. So a quick presentation of our product. At Liam, we built what we call a tethered balloon. It's connected to the ground via a cable to a trailer. It can be deployed quite easily. It's packed with many sensors, including different cameras, and it can fly 24/7. So the way that it works is that you bring your trailer wherever you want to deploy our solution. It takes around 10 minutes to fully deploy. It rises up to 100 meters. And you can view the sensor on your tablet or PC, and there's different cameras, but the idea is that the system is fully autonomous, so it can detect, for instance, a fire fully autonomously or an intrusion fully autonomously, even during the night, for instance. So the idea is really that you deploy it and you forget about it, and it can stay on during really days and weeks. And the training is quite minimal, as I said, since it's fully autonomous. It can stand up to 70 kilometers of wind right now, but we are working every day to make that number even bigger. It can obviously sustain rain as well. When it's fully deployed to around 100 meters, you can monitor with the different sensor around 3-kilometer radius area around the trailer. And it's autonomous during several weeks. Why several weeks and not forever? Because after several weeks, around 3 or 4 weeks, you need to fuel the balloon again with helium. So how can we use can you use our products? So one of the main use is to first deploy the product as a preventive solution. So before anything bad happens, such as a fire, such as an intrusion or things like that, you deploy the solution. It autonomously detects the threat and alerts whichever personnel is required to act upon the threat. The other solution, for instance, is that during a crisis scenario, so for instance, there's a fire spreading, you want to monitor how the fire is spreading. So you bring the balloon, you lift it in the air, and you can monitor wherever you want the fire spreading. The idea is that you don't have to have a drone operator, for instance, working 24 hours on the drone, and you can just deploy it, come back to it 2 hours later, and see how the fire is spreading. You don't have to think about it. So yeah, it's one of the main goals is to reduce staffing requirements. We already work with a few companies, including Orano, which is one of the world leader in uranium enrichment, and Natran, a big European company, specializes in gas. Thank you very much for listening. I was quite brief, but if you have any questions, feel free to tell me. I'll be happy to answer you.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you very much for your presentation. It shows how important and how useful can be a long endurance and autonomous monitoring system, and how it can support the responder on the ground for the decision making.
Indeed.
So I will share my screen one last time. I hope you can see it and hear me. So thanks to our four presenters for presenting their innovation. I think it has been a significant value for the today's discussion on this specific topic. For the sake of time, I would like to propose that we skip the Q&A session. And if you have any question, you have seen the contact details, and you can also find them on the DIREKTION website to contact them if you have any question, if you want some more information. I think our four presenters will be very happy to get in touch with you. So thank you, Ralph, thank you, Guillaume, Gillian, and Elliot for your presentation. And so again, the QR code to see all the solution assets in DIREKTION. So I give the floor back to you, Massimo or Elizabeth. I don't know who is taking over.
Thank you, Bastian. Thank you. I think there is just one last question. If we have 1 minute from Ivana, then we can.
You are the master of the workshop.
Yeah.
So we can take some.
Yeah.
Let me.
Ivana, you're still there?
Yes, I'm there. Yes, I wanted to ask to Guillaume the last presentation about the balloons. So yeah, one issue with balloons is the controlling where they fly, right? So I just was curious how you guys what you guys do about that.
Yes, so the balloon is connected to a cable to the ground. So the idea is that it stays above the trailer. And there is motors that have propellers that we use to control where the balloon is to maintain it above the trailer. But no, it's not a balloon that will fly around because just of the wind and just the characteristic of the balloon. It's not feasible, or at least with very low wind, and we're interested in having a solution that works even with high winds. So that's why our balloon is just something that stays put and doesn't move too much.
So if I want to cover a larger area, I need to place several of the trailers or something.
You can, yeah, but already with one balloon, since it goes so high up, you can cover around 3 kilometers around the trailer. 3,000 extras to be precise. And but yeah, you can deploy multiple solutions that can work together as well. But on the cameras, for instance, we have a really powerful optical zoom. So that's why our solution can cover such a long distance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that's it for now. Before everyone leaves, we would like to thank you all for joining this first workshop, and you will receive via email a link related to the online page we create to collect all the presentation and slides, so you can download the PDFs for future consultation. This landing page will also contain the workshop recording as an embedded video. The video will be uploaded as I said, on YouTube, so you can share it on social media, on your social media, if you have a newsletter and so on. Please just remember to tag all the project in your posts. And we also remain available if you have any feedback about this workshop, or if you have any question or curiosity that you didn't get a chance to ask during this past hour. Please remember that this was a joint initiative involving 4 principal projects and various other project initiatives and entities, sorry. But if you are interested, we could follow up on this webinar, and in the next one, we can give some more updates on news related to the project we already presented, or we can present other projects with different topics and a different format. So thank you again. Thank you for your time.